What do you say to those who want Pepsi as a partner? They want your sponsorship dollars, and how can they best serve your mission across that whole portfolio? Because you're right; those are monster brands that own their categories.
Here's my soapbox, and you're right. I mean, I love getting, I want to say pitch, but I love connecting with current and potential new and even former partners who we were partners with, are not anymore, but maybe can come back and do things with. I love talking to them and hearing from them literally every day. I mean, several times a day. It's such a benefit of my role of the breadth and the number of conversations across different sports and candidly entertainment properties that we get to have conversations with people in and do partnerships in. So it's a tremendous benefit. I love the breadth of things we get to do. And it's also a benefit. I mean, we're looking at things like, hey, how do we elevate the halftime show and what worked, what didn't? I can transport that over to the NBA, right? Let's apply that learning to the 3-point contest, or I can apply something that we did really successfully with the NBA to hockey or to football and vice versa. So it's this really nice cross-pollination because I get to see things. I mean, listen, we've ported learnings from action sports into the NFL and vice versa, right? You get this really cool learning and kind of ability to pick and choose the learnings and the best practices and place them in other places. So what I'd say is, 3 things: how we evaluate, how we structure, and how we activate deals. So one, evaluate. There is this rigorous process that we've built and that we go through on any conversation, any potential deal, to determine why we're doing it and how much we should be paying for it, right? And so why we're doing it, it has to be based and completely rooted in a brand and or business objective. So I often joke, like, as the sports guy, I'm like famous for internally at Pepsi being like, we don't have a sports strategy. When somebody asks, well, what's the sports strategy? I always say, my answer is, we don't have a sports strategy. We have brand and business strategies that my job and my team's job is to help fulfill through the power of sports. So yes, we do have a sports strategy, right? It's a little bit of just making a point by saying we don't have a sports strategy, but it
But
has
you're
to
keeping it on
start.
strategy, and so many people don't. Yeah, it's starting.
Yeah,
It must serve the master, right? Which is that
yeah,
brand or that business objective.
right. So if I can't say, hey, we're doing this to achieve awareness for Mountain Dew, or we're partnering with LeBron, at least initially, to help generate some impact and awareness to launch this brand called Rise. Boom, linking it back right to the business objective. So that's the first part. And then once we think there's an opportunity and we have an idea, ballpark of what we think we want to pay based on the return, we go into how do we best structure it, right? And I think from the structuring standpoint, we kind of use this principle that I'm calling like ownership and influence. And really, it's a broad way to say, like, we, in any deal, we want to own and or create a platform, or own and or create a set of assets that authentically is relevant to our brands. And I'll use halftime as the perfect example, right? You would say, hey, we have this brand in Pepsi that's really rooted in pop culture and music heritage, and this asset with the NFL, this platform, this halftime show platform, that literally is the biggest cultural music moment of the year. And you put those two things together, and it really is that perfect storm that really gives you the right to play that, right? Hopefully people would say, oh yeah, Pepsi makes sense to be at the center of the halftime show versus the previous sponsor, which happened to be Bridgestone Tire, like 6 or 10, 8 years ago. I would hope Pepsi has a little bit more right to kind of own that moment than Bridgestone did. Nothing against them. I just think it's a better brand fit.
Right.
So
No, that's true.
that's the ownership piece. And then the influence piece is just as important, which is, we want to have a seat at the table and help determine how things come to life, right? We want that seat at the table. We want to co-create. We want to help our partners and lead creation of content and sort of help be responsible for how an asset or a platform comes to life. We have flexible funds in all of our deals that we know we can shift and reallocate year to year to support big bets that may, priorities may shift year to year. So, we look at, I'll describe it this way. We very much look, we are not passive. We are not passive partners in sports and the deals that we do. We look at sports sponsorship as like a full contact sport in a good way. We love rolling up our sleeves with our partners and getting in the kitchen and making this thing work together. And I think we're at our best when we find those partners that are really willing to do that as well.